have people come into the store and, you know, they're interested in bees. They're interested in getting their bees. They're interested in, what do I need? I don't know where to start. I have no idea. Can you explain to me a little bit about the equipment? So let's talk a little bit about equipment, and by doing that, we're just going to go ahead and build a hive assembly with all the components being pre-built and pre-painted. You know, they can come in here and make a few decisions based on their knowledge from a book, based on knowledge from a mentor, based on knowledge from me, whoever's giving them information. They can come in and basically say, so-and-so said I need this. Well, we'll show them that. But we're going to put together a hive from the bottom board up, and I'm going to just briefly touch on a few of these components so that you know they're available. And I'm not saying, all right, solid bottom board, this is what you have to have. There are multiple choices in bottom boards, boxes, 10 frame, 8 frame, on and on. I'm going to go ahead and get started. What I have in front of me is a solid bottom board. There is no screen window, no tray, no IPM. IPM is integrated pest management. I'm going to show you that. The tray is merely another protection program. Hello, Murphy. So, bottom board. Let me touch briefly on a bottom board. This is a plain pine screen bottom board with an IPM tray. The grid on the bottom is on there for a reason. The reason is if you wanted to do mite checks in your colonies. You have another option. Remember, this is all available, 8 frame, 10 frame. This is a Freeman beetle bottom board made from cypress, has a screen. We also have these available now in a vented. They're much deeper, but they have vents so that they stay cooler in the summer. The reason being, this is really a solid bottom board with the screen and the oil tray. This is to catch the mites and the beetles that the bees drive through the screen. They fall in the oil. They're not up in the brood nest with your bees. But when it's closed, you basically have a solid bottom board. There's still a few more options of bottom boards available. There's plastic vented, there's plastic solid. It goes on and on. But for right now, solid bottom board, 10 frame. Your next component is a deep super. Brief side note, you can make this entire stack out of medium supers, deep supers, shallow supers. One thing is as the beekeeper, make it easy on yourself. You might want to consider 8 frame for weight. You might want to consider using all mids for the ease of your handling. These do get heavy. Nonetheless, let's build this on up. We're going to go to a queen excluder. This queen excluder could come into play now. Your bees have expanded 80% of this space. They're ready for another super. You want to keep her in the bottom. You don't have to, but for the sake of saying, and we're going to add a queen excluder to hold her to utilize the deep super, which you're going to hear called many things. The queen's in here laying, brood box. Okay, we're going to put a queen excluder over her and allow her to utilize this entire super on the bottom. Now we're going to move on. We're going to give them another super. Take another super box. This one is a mid. This is going to be for storage. The field bees will work through the excluder up in here. They'll comb out the frames and foundation. They'll utilize this now at this point 100% honey. Okay, for those of you who are going to ask, okay, well, so this one's mine now? No, this one and this one will remain the bees. You merely put the queen excluder in to make this a full super of honey, and in the fall you're going to remove the queen excluder so that the queen and the bees have access to an upper super that's full of honey. They'll make a cleared spot in it, they'll move her up in it, and she's going to winter. Most of the time, the severe part of the winter, she'll be in that honey super. Now we're going to hit a nectar flow mid-April. We're going to need our honey supers, and by that, another mid, it can be a shallow supers or supers. You're going to get more honey in the mid. If you'll notice, these have 9 frame spacers in the rabbit installed so that it puts a gap between the frames. They now have the availability to draw basically an 1/8 inch deeper comb well on each side. So by removing a frame, we've now spaced these out. We get a much larger bee space, which means they're going to tighten it down to a bee width between, but you're going to have these nice full frames, and this mid super with 9 frames will have more honey in it than you'll get out of a 10 full frames in a super. A lot of people go this way for their honey supers only. Everything else is 10 frame. Remember, no right way, no wrong way. Do this the way you want to do it. With that being said, just drop back a little bit. We're going to have 2 mid supers here. If they get this one filled, that one comes off pre-winter. You harvest it. They might get it filled up in mid-spring. Anyway, this one would be yours. These stay for the bees. Remove the queen excluder for winter. Next component you'd be interested in would be an inner board. The inner board sets over the bees that are inhabiting those frames that we talked about. We have a ventilation hole, also an access hole to this bee space where we could medicate, feed. We have a bee escape notch in this particular board. I'll show you a little bit more about it. It can be used for the bees to come and go. It can be used just merely to help with the ventilation in these supers. Move from there to your outer cover. With your outer cover in play, you've just closed off and you've kept this entire stack dry. Okay. If you pull this lid all the way forward, there's enough gap to allow those bees to utilize this notch to come and go. If necessity is needed for them to do that, they can access that. If you do not want them accessing that, but you have it, merely pull that back and close it off. Now the bees can't go or come, as well as pests, moths, beetles, they won't use it either. And most of the time when you're pulled back against that notch, the bees will go ahead and propolize it shut. Those are the components involved with starting. Those are the components involved with keeping your bees. Actually, now we've even threw in an extra super just to give you an idea of how this would be stacked up in relation to having bees in it and having them producing honey. All right, we've gotten you through the equipment. I want you to understand one thing. We're as interested in you having a successful beekeeping journey as we are ourselves. We're beekeepers helping beekeepers. If you have comments, concerns, questions, please make a post on our social media. We will do our best to answer those. We're going to have a lot of more videos coming up with how-tos, and we just really feel like we can help you on this journey here at Central Beekeeper Supply. So make a comment. See you next time.